Morning, everyone. Josh here, Solopreneur Grind. It is Friday, October the 4th, and we're back to the SG Daily. It's been a little while, actually. It's been a little bit of a break, but getting back into the routine. And the first thing I wanted to mention is that it's been a crazy month. As you might be able to notice, I'm in a different location right now. So I actually moved. If you're on my email list, you know that I launched a tech company earlier this month. That's gone pretty well, and I'll definitely be updating you on that. And so I wanted to make an adjustment and probably go down from 3 dailies a week to one or two. And so what I did naturally, I think, as a lot of people do, is they say, well, I'm just going to do this when I have time to do it. And I think there's a big problem with that, as I learned the hard way. And as I've learned kind of time and time again, this is not just in business. This could be cleaning your house, studying, in school, stuff like that. But generally speaking, when you say I'll do this when I have time, that basically translates into I'm going to keep pushing it to the bottom of my list and will probably never do it or won't do it for a very long time. And so I think that's a pretty important business lesson. And then as soon as this week, when I said, you know what, doing the daily 3 times a week is a little too much, but I could definitely do it once a week. And then I scheduled it for Friday morning, because usually by Friday is when, I've been through my week. I've learned some stuff. I've struggled through some stuff. I have some ideas I want to share. So Friday is usually the day where I'm kind of, itching to maybe post some content, throw up a blog and stuff like that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do it once a week on Friday. I put it in my calendar for Friday morning, and here we are. Now, there were some lighting issues. Again, I moved in 2 weeks ago. So I still don't know anything about video production or lighting. If you have any tips or resources, shoot me a comment below. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening on the podcast, shoot me an email, or either way, shoot me an email, josh@solopreneurgrind.com. If you have any tips on how to figure out lighting, even just in your apartment, do I put the light at the back? Do I point it from the front? I don't have any professional equipment, and ideally would not have to buy any lighting stuff. But if you have any suggestions and tips there, I do have a pretty good mic. But anyways, so lesson number 1, if you actually want to get stuff done, whether it be business, cleaning your apartment, studying, just everyday life stuff, I highly suggest that you track it and you put a timestamp or calendar event on it. So I think there's 2 important things. Number 1 is have it somewhere on your to-do list, right? So you know what it is, right? I want to record the SG Daily. The second part, which is something that some people miss, and one of the reasons why a lot of this stuff doesn't get done, in my case, I actually had this on my list. But if you don't give it a priority or a date and time or a timeline at which you want to get it done, it'll probably never get done. So if you have, I want to record the SG Daily, but I never mark it on the calendar, or I never say when I want to get it done by, it's just going to get pushed. It's going to get pushed to the bottom. So for another example for me is billing, my client billing for my firm. I don't like it. It's boring. It's administrative. Some of it I outsource, but most of it I still do myself because the financial tracking is very important. And so I do it every Friday afternoon now, because Friday afternoon, usually my brain's out to lunch anyways. I'm tired from the week, whatever. So either put it down somewhere specifically at a specific time or give it a deadline, right? So I want to record the SG Daily within the next 3 days. I prefer, the most effective way that I've realized is actually give it a time and a day when you're going to do it, because then everything else you can book around that. And when it's time to do that and that pops up on your calendar, it's clear as day that that's what you should be doing. So here we are. You can expect an SG Daily every Friday morning, as well as my email. So my email went out about an hour ago. And then by the time I made coffee in the J mug and actually figured out this lighting and answered some emails, I finally got around to doing the vlog. So if you want even more in-depth and early kind of stuff like that from me in written form, I highly suggest you join the email list, solopreneurgrind.com/join, and you can get on there. I don't sell anything. I don't spam. I send 1 email a week. Anyways, second lesson for the SG weekly, or I guess, should I call it daily or weekly? I don't know. The SG Daily number 80 is that in business, again, this all applies really to life, but I come across these lessons as a solopreneur, which is you need to make adjustments, as I've done here, right? So I think I actually started out doing the daily once a week, and then I ramped it up a little, was doing it 3 times a week, and now I'm going to bring it back down to once a week. And that has to do with a whole bunch of things. This month in particular was really busy, but now the priority of SG, I still love it at SG, right? I love the brand. I love creating this type of content. But what I'm really trying to do is grow the tech company at this point. And so for that reason and a few others, which is it got to a point like when you're putting out 3 vlogs and emails a week, and this is just being totally transparent, sometimes a day or two goes by and you don't have this like big lesson you learn or big idea or big, urge of or sense of motivation to throw out content. And it felt like some of them were a little bit forced, especially near the end. So in August and bleeding into September, and then I got busy, and then I moved, and then I started a company all within like a 2-week span. So that all merged together. But all this is to say, you need to adjust to what makes sense as things go on, right? It's an easy football analogy where football is a game of chess, and at halftime, or even throughout the game, what the best coaches do is they're adjusting their game plans and their play calls to what the other team is giving them or showing them. And I think it's the same for business, right? So you can create a business plan, a strategy, a 6-month roadmap, whatever you want to do or whatever you want to call it. But then things are going to happen, right? And this can be for a big business, a small business, a one-person business. And so you have to adjust. You have to adjust accordingly. Maybe there's a new competition, there's a new competitor in the industry. Maybe you got some really good user feedback, and because of that, you need to change up your product or your service a little bit. Maybe something is, one of your services is just performing a lot better than the other, so you scrap the other one, or you highlight the main one more. There's a million things, right, that could happen any day. The key isn't to worry about it or to be surprised by it. If you can embrace the change and be ready to adjust to what makes the most sense for you and your business, your company, your life, whatever it is, as the day goes by, as each day goes by, then you'll be better off. So that's it for the daily today. It's the beginning of October. Summer really flew by. Again, I'm going to try and, I will be putting these out once a week. I'm also going to try and throw up some intermittent videos as well on, I do read a lot of books. And so what I really like to do, especially just even to help with my memory and my learning, is to put up some videos on lessons I've learned from books or from guests I've had on my podcast. So you'll see some of those on the channel as well. Make sure to subscribe. So whether you're listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube, subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube channel, just so you'll see when my new stuff comes out. If you have any feedback, always happy to hear it. And hope you had a good week. And we will see you next week. Have a great weekend.